Ticket to Ride, probably one of the most well-known board games out there. I mean, this game is huge. It's been made in so many different versions, and this here is the legacy version, meaning that you have a base game, but as the game moves on, you will add on new rules, new map pieces, and so on in this game. Now, in this video, I am going to show you how to play the base game, so to speak. So I will not give you any spoilers, but I will show you how to set up the game and how to play it, but also how to move on in the story. So let's take a look at this. When you open the box for the first time, you will see this pamphlet here. You should read whatever it says and set up the box according to these instructions. Once you have done that, it should look something like this. In this box here, you will have the tiles that you will use. At the start of the game, you should only use the top 5 tiles. And do not look at the ones that are beneath. These 5 map pieces should then be put together to look like this. This map will grow as the game goes on. Next, each player needs to choose a company that they would like to portray as and take the corresponding trains in the same color as your company, but also your company bonus card. Each player also starts the game with 5 coins. Now these company boxes here has 2 different compartments. One that is the office. In here you put all of the active components that you use in each game. But on the back side here we have the vault. Anything that you put into the vault is sealed shut. And you put it into this little slide here up at the top of the box. The things that goes into the vault only comes out at the end of the campaign. And you can say that the more things you have in your vault, the better it is. Because at the end of the game we will take it out and we will see who has the best and biggest company by looking at the vault. Next we need to shuffle the train deck. But we also need to shuffle in newspapers into the train deck. But how many newspapers there should be in the train deck depends on how many players you are. If you are 2 players, there should be 6 newspapers in the deck. If you are 3 players, there should only be 4. And if you're 4 to 5 players, there should only be 3 newspapers shuffled into the train deck. Once we have shuffled the train deck, each player gets 4 cards to form their starting hand. The remaining deck is put face down next to the board. And then we need to flip the top 5 cards up to form a market next to the deck. If 3 or more of the cards on the market are locomotives, we should reshuffle these cards into the deck and draw new ones, because there can never be more than 3 locomotives on this market. Same thing if any players have received a news card on their hand, they should also be reshuffled into the deck. Now we need to shuffle the ticket deck and deal out 4 tickets to each player. They get to look at these tickets and then choose 2 that they would like to keep. These tickets are the tickets that will show you where you should build your lines to earn points. The next step is to read the story deck. Now this here is the story of this game. These cards are double-sided and we should read both sides. When we come to a pause card, we should pause. And we should continue reading whenever the card tells us to keep on reading. In this case here, during step 3 of the game end. Once we've done that, we keep on going in this deck until we hit a stop card. Here we stop reading. And again, at the bottom of the card, we can see when we should start reading again. In this case here, in step 7 of setup in 1868. Next we need to put out the event deck on the board. This game starts with 7 event decks. We have a discard pile next to the event deck pile. This is where we put, well, the discarded event cards. Every time a newspaper card is drawn from the train deck, we should read one of these events. And these events are, well, events that will affect and change the story, but also the game as we move along. During the game, more events might, or probably will, be added to the event deck. Next, we should look at the back of our company box to see how many trains we get to start with. At the start of the game, you start with 20 trains, but as the game moves on, you will get more and more trains that you can use during your gameplay. The player that has the caboose card will become the first player. If no player has the caboose card yet, we will simply deal this out at random. So this here was the basic setup of this game. But of course, as the campaign moves on, there will be more rules added to your rulebook. The objective of this game is to run your own company, but also to make money. As this game goes along, you will use your little trains here and put them out on the board, where your player color is. Now, these tickets cards here are the main way to get points in this game. You will build routes depending on where these ticket cards wants you to build routes. If you complete those routes, well then you will score points. And as the game goes on, you will put things into your vault. At the end of the campaign, whoever has, well, the most victory points, money and so on in their vault will become the best company of this game and win the campaign. As I told you at the start of this Legacy Edition, well, the map is not fully built, but there will be added more and more onto the map as the game goes on. And also the rules. There will be more rules, there will be different rules, and some cards will probably disappear from the game, while other cards will be added to the game. But now, let's take a look at a player's turn and what you can actually do during your turn. So during your turn, you can do 3 different things. You can choose to draw a train card, draw a ticket, or claim a route. But you can only do one of these things during each of your turns. Now, let's look at draw a train card. During your turn, you can choose to draw train cards. And you can draw either from the face-up cards on the market or a random card from the top of the deck. As you can see here, there are different colors, trains on the market. But one of them is a locomotive, and this one is actually a joker, representing all of the other colors at once. If you choose one of these cards, you can only take 1 card. But if you choose any of the other regular color wagons, you get to take 2. But if you are lucky enough to get a locomotive from the top of the random deck, you actually get to draw 1 more card. Once you have chosen a card from the market, you should immediately refill that spot with the top card from the deck. And if you draw a newspaper, you should draw an event card. Remember? We take this event card and we flip it up on the discard spot. Now we read out this event card loud and do whatever the card says. Once we've done that, we discard the newspaper card and draw a new train card. The next thing a player can do is to claim a route out on the board. As you can see, there are a lot of different routes here, in a lot of different colors. To be able to claim a route, you need to have the same amount of train cards in the same color as the route. Meaning that if the yellow player here would like to claim the route between Buffalo and Montreal, they would need at least 2 blue train cards or 2 red train cards. Like these here, for example. But remember, we also have the locomotives. These portray as any of the other colors. So if you would only have 1 blue card, you could use the locomotive instead. Once you have paid, you need to put these cards into the discard pile. And then you place out your little trains here on the track that you have claimed. A player can only claim 1 track between 2 destinations, meaning that another player could still claim the red track. But one player can only claim 1 of these tracks between 2 destinations, meaning that the yellow player could not claim the red track as well. Now they are done on this track. But the gray tracks here are actually a bit different than the other ones in color, because here you can use any train color cards to claim the track. Meaning that if the blue player would like to claim these tracks, he could place out his train and pay with any color cards. But remember, they need to be the same color. So if you pay with yellow cards, all of them needs to be yellow. So on these cards, you will have different destinations. In this case here, you have Knoxville to Norfolk, meaning that if you manage to build trains going from Knoxville all the way over to Norfolk, you will score whatever this card says. In this case, 5 coins. And you will receive these at the end of the game. Whenever you claim a route that has the same color as your company, you gain the bonus stated on your company card. If you ever manage to connect a city to one of the big cities, you get to take the top train card from the train deck. If you manage to connect several big cities, you still only get to take 1 train card. The third and last thing you can choose to do during your turn is to draw ticket cards. If you choose to do this, you should draw 3 cards. And now you need to choose. Either you keep all 3 of them, or you keep 2 of them, or you only keep 1 of them. But you need to keep at least 1 of these cards. The cards that you did not choose goes back to the bottom of the pile. If there is only a few cards left and you cannot draw 3 cards, then you simply draw whatever you can. When one player has 0, 1 or only 2 of these little plastic trains left in front of them, well then we go into the end round. And now we get one final turn to do whatever we feel necessary to be able to get the most points, meaning money. Once all players have done their final turn, it's time for us to see who was the winner of that game. To do this, we need to see how many coins we have left. Each player writes down the value of their total amount of coins that they have in their hand, and we write it down on our bank slip. Then we need to see how many trains we have remaining, because we will get extra coins depending on how many trains we have remaining. If you have 0, you would get 16 coins. If you have 1, you get 12, 2, 9, and so on. You can check this out in the rulebook by yourself. But we also need to see our total ticket value. Again, we need to add these numbers up to give us more coins. Once we have added all of this together, we should note it down on our pay slip here at the bottom. The player that has the highest amount becomes the winner of this game. The player that ended up last takes the caboose card and becomes the first player in the next game. The player that has the caboose card now gets to retire 1 of the faced-up event cards in the discard pile. The event that is chosen to be discarded goes into the box behind the dead letter office. Next thing we need to do is to check the pause card in the story deck to see if there's any last things we need to do at the end of the game. Once we have filled out a little bank slip here, we take it and then we put it into our vault, where it will stay until the end of this campaign. So the player that has the most thing in their wallet, remember, will become the ultimate winner at the end of the campaign. But for now we have played 1 game. And now we can clean everything up or play one more game if you like to. And as I told you, as the game goes on, you will unlock more things that will be added to this game. More boards to the board, but also more rules to the rule book. And as this game grows, well, you will grow with it. Learning more rules, gaining more experience, and also learning how to become the best train road builder out there. And that is how you play Ticket to Ride Legacy, at least the base version. And this, if you have played Ticket to Ride before, well then you will recognize this, because it is pretty much the same as a usual Ticket to Ride game. But as I told you, this will evolve. And I am not the biggest Ticket to Ride fan, I can tell you that. But this one I actually quite enjoyed, because you have the legacy, you have the campaign, you have the evolving world, which I really like. I love character building, I like world building, and that is pretty much what's going on here. I also like the artwork in this game. I mean, it's a quite classic Ticket to Ride artwork. Plus, it's really nicely done. You have a nice insert in the box. You have nice artwork. The components are feeling quite well made. The box cover, these little company boxes here, it's all quite well put together. That, my friend, was Ticket to Ride Legacy. This game is huge. There's so much going on in this game. There is a lot of replayability in this game as the game actually evolves over time. The map, everything, as I told you, and we have so much more in this game here than just the regular Ticket to Ride games, which, as I said before, I am not the biggest fan of, but in this game here it really works, as you have the events, you have the evolving story. I mean, you really feel like you are building your own little company here. Plus, I love this little vault here. I mean, you really don't know who's gonna win the game at the end of the campaign, if you're not keeping track in your head, that is. But otherwise, there's so much going on here. There's an evolving game. The map is evolving. If you want to know more, well, check out the links down in the description and it will take you straight to the game. If you like what I'm doing here, well, why not give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, whatever you want to. But most importantly, my friend, please remember to keep on spreading that board gaming love I know you all have. Peace out.